Hi, good evening and good morning, and I'm wishing you all the good things. I hope you guys are having an awesome day or night. Um, but this story will probably make you sad because this is going to be an unsolved case. So, already, spoiler alert, it is very disturbing, extremely sad. There is adult situations, there is talks of, sexual assault. Um, yeah, and it's mainly to women. And I'm going to be talking about Scotland's Jack the Ripper. Yes, we're going to go all the way back in the 1960s, the swinging 60s. But before we go, hello, I am Katie Brannon, and this is Tea Time True Crime with Katie, where I just sit down in my positive room with white candles and happy crystals to talk about horrific things. Now, I do not talk about them to, if God forbid, if one of the family members comes across my page to re traumatize people, is not my intention at all. In fact, I am here for advocacy and awareness. And also, by you listening or watching, you are becoming a voice for the voiceless as well. So I appreciate you. If it's your first time here, hi, I'm so happy you're here. Thank you so much. I just do podcasting in a different kind of way. Now, I hope everyone is doing well. Now, if you are watching, you're probably wondering, good God, Katie, what happened to your hair? Well, if you are not watching and listening, my hair looks like a rat's nest in a very friendly kind of term. It's extremely curly, frizzy on the left side of my face, and that is because, you guys, I just came back from a week of cruising. Yes, I was on a cruise. It was my BFF. We celebrated her 40th birthday, and fun fact, we have the same birthday. And then we went with my other friend who is a rising Virgo also. So it's just Virgos and Earth energy and good times. And I had a total blast. We also brought our fellas, and it was like a triple couple vacation. And it was very hard to leave because we were in Bermuda. And Bermuda is lovely. The people are lovely. I definitely want to go back. Yes, so I recommend. We also did Carnival. Carnival was really cool. I've been on it before, but this one, Carnival Legend, was definitely like a little more upscale. But don't worry, you guys, payments. I'm not ashamed to say it. I did payments to go on this cruise because you have to live your life. I was told by a very young age the greatest gift you can give yourself or to someone is the gift of travel. So, yes, but I didn't start traveling until outside of the United States until 2017, and I have been bitten by the travel bug ever since. So I definitely want to do more traveling to try, look at the other cultures, the beauty of the scenery, the food, the dancing, of course, the cuisines, which is food. It was a really great time, but I did not bring a hairbrush. So even though I washed my hair all the time, like every day, almost every day, because I was in pools and salt water and ocean, I did not bring a hairbrush. So it is hair that looked like it has not been brushed for a week. But don't worry, I will, yeah. So if you guys ever want to know my natural color, it is, of course, I'm a redhead. The natural style, it's weird. It's curly, but then it gets frizzy. But then if I'm out of the shower and I brush my hair gently in the shower, people, not ripping my hair out, of course, when I put the leave-in conditioner, it turns straight. So my hair is all the things, I guess I shall say. But this is not a beauty podcast, so I'm going to get on to my story. And this horrible true crime happened in 1960s Scotland. And it's brutal. It's really, really brutal. And when I talk about the deaths of these women, it is with respect. And I am so, so sorry that happened to them, especially even in the 1960s. There's generations, there's orphans, that happened because of this case. It's really, really sad. First things first, I will be talking about, like I said, adult situations, sexual assault. But please, please do not send me messages or comment like these women had it coming because they were in the wrong place. They shouldn't have been doing what they were doing. Number one, it's none of our business. It's none of our business. If you want to have a good time and think there won't be any repercussions, I'm sure you'll do it too. You know what I'm saying? But again, I do not victim blame. I don't even like to use the V word because nobody ever wants to be the V word unless it's victor, you know, as in victory. So I'm going to be talking about a place that was in 1960s Scotland. Now, to place this scene here, there has been other podcasters that do not say nice things about Glasgow. Glasgow, thank you, Scotland. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. But it's one of the places I really want to go to. Scotland, yes, I love Ireland. I've been there, love it, love it, love it. Scotland, I definitely want to go there. But in the 1960s, it was right after World War II, and it was just not a good time. One of the podcasters I listened to said it was pretty much like you were in literal like feces, like poop. Yeah, it was a very downtrodden place in Glasgow. It was right after World War II. There was an economic decline. Crime was almost at an all high. I mean, there was heroin, there was just stabbings. Not much shootings because I believe Scotland is a no gun country, but still they would carry razor blades on them and just stab people. Yeah. So 1960s does not sound like a good time, you know. But with everything that happens in different countries, I haven't been there. I'm just doing it on research. But as I Google pictures now, Scotland looks amazing and wonderful. And to let you know, there's places in the US that are not good as well. So I'm not trying to knock on anyone's country at all, but I'm just saying in the 1960s, it was rough. You know, there was like, you know, just it reminded me of like not much vegetation. There it was very gloomy, it was very cold, and during the killings it was freezing. So just want to put you in that kind of setting in the 1960s. So we're going to be talking about 4 women that lost their lives, and we're also going to be talking about Barrowland. I'm not sure how to say it, but it's Barrowland. Barrowland. But back then, that was like kind of like a hot spot for like singles or not singles. You know what I mean? It's where it was very seedy. People could, you know, have affairs or just have a really good night of dancing and drinking and have a good time. It didn't always have to end up in sex, but according to research, a lot of times it did. There were bored housewives and there even were bored husbands. So it was very kind of like anonymous, you know? But of course, there were regulars that visited Barrowland. But of course, when the police were trying to, I'll talk about that later, when police were trying to talk about, you know, talk to the witnesses, they were either too drunk or, you know, no memory. But let's get on to it. We're going to be talking about the horrible, horrible, I would say, quote unquote, Jack the Ripper of Scotland. We're going to be talking about Bible John. Bible John. All right, already that name is not appetizing at all. I don't know about you, but that's whoa. So we don't really know much about him. I'm going to describe him, what he looked like, but we're going to start right in August 16th, 1969. But before we do that, that is Jemima. Yes, excuse me. Again, no disrespect. If I'm saying these words or names wrong, please forgive me, okay? Now, I have a lot of research that I've been doing. Since I've come back from my cruise, I have just been studying Bible John like a mofo. No, he's a creep. We haven't found him. But I have been trying to study these deaths because they're just so violent and insane. I know, I keep teasing you with my stuff. I apologize. Okay, so we're going to actually start in spring 1968, February 22nd, going into February 23rd. 25-year-old Patricia Docker, okay? She was actually found at Carmichael Place, Langslide, Glasgow, Scotland. When she was found, she was strangled, and with the people think, investigators think she was strangled with a belt. She was found lying on her back with her head turned to the right. Yeah, that's creepy. She was strangled and she was naked except for one shoe on her foot. She was beaten horribly, but her sanitary pad was placed by her body. Now, what's very interesting about this case is I'm going to give you a spoiler alert right away. The weird significance about these murders is these women were all on their period. If you don't know what being on your period is, I would say menstruation, once a month, Shark Week, there's many names for it. So yeah, all these women who passed away, these four I'm going to talk about, they were all on their periods. And that is just bizarre. Very rarely you hear about crimes when they're like, and they were on their menstrual. Now you're probably wondering, well, like, how'd the police know? Well, like I said before, her sanitary pad was placed by her body. Before I go on, I'm going to give you like a little history lesson. Now, women who menstruate, back in the 1960s, it was not cute wearing a sanitary pad, okay? Not that wearing pads are cute anyway, but in the 1960s, I found that you wore some kind of belt, a sanitary belt. And the pad was kind of like thick as nappies, I shall say, which we know them as like diapers. They're very thick, they're very big, and they were placed inside this belt, and you would wrap it around your body to keep the pad in place. So already sounds really uncomfortable. So not only you're cramping and your body is feeling like it's ripped apart, you have to wear a very uncomfortable sanitary belt with a pad. So I feel that when the women were dancing, or you could sneak in their purses, there would be a pad in the purse. And you would see the sanitary kind of belt shown through the clothing, especially when you dance, when you're sweaty, you would definitely see something through dress. That's just my personal opinion, because already people are like, how did he know that they were on the period, But I think those are the two main things. They were sanitary belts, and they may have been, they carried pads in their purse. Now, not trying to advertise anything, but I'm really mad I found this late in life, so I'm just going to talk to the women for like 20 seconds. The ones that are still menstruating, I recommend getting the Flex Cup disc. Yes, it has changed my life. It's a little bit to get used to, because you literally, it looks like a diaphragm, which is a female condom. It does. It looks like a diaphragm. It really does. And you squeeze it. Okay, you squeeze it in half, and I recommend doing this in the shower. So after you clean yourself and you're ready to go and you're menstruating, you grab it, and if you are wearing tampons, if you are, I suggest you use this. If you're not wearing tampons, do not use this, okay? So what you do is slip it inside, okay? Slip it inside your, in your lady bit, okay? Just like a normal tampon. And then you let it go for like 12 hours. So when you go to the bathroom, you guys, and you pee, it releases. Yeah. So you clean the disc every 12 hours. That's it. I just jump in the shower. And then if you're scared of spillage, because we women sneeze, we cough, we laugh, things start moving, okay? Now, if that happens, wear a cloth pad. I have literally got rid of tampons and pads. I have been really trying hard to save the environment and also save my pH health as a woman. So I definitely recommend that. You can find them on Etsy. There's these women that make incredible cloth pads. And when you're done with them, baby, just, go in the sink, rinse them out, seriously, and then pop them in the washer and the dryer, and you are good to go for the next month. So yeah, there you go. I wanted to use that real quick to talk about that, since we're talking about periods, because it has changed my life. Okay, it's amazing. Yeah, you should look into it. Flex, Flex, disc cup. This is not sponsored at all. I'm just letting you guys know, because I love you guys who are still menstruating. If you're not, it's okay. You may know someone. Tell them this information because it will change their life. I'm so mad that I found it out so late in life, but you know, that's life. Okay, so Patricia Docker. Sorry if you gentlemen are still here. Welcome, welcome. So Patricia Docker, she was a very hardworking woman. Yeah, she was a very hardworking woman. She actually was a nurse. Yes, in the 1960s, she was a nurse. And to be a nurse after that, during a very kind of like torn down kind of town, it's pretty amazing. So she wanted to actually have a night on the town. She was really excited, and they said not only she was a nurse, she was very, very kind. And when she left her parents at 6 o'clock, she told them she was going to head, you know, go on the night of the town. Yeah, okay. So they're like, where are you going? And she goes, I'm going to the Majestic Ballroom. Well, finds out that she did not go to the Majestic Ballroom. She actually went to the Barrowland Ballroom. Now remember in the beginning, the Barrowland Ballroom is like this seedy kind of nightclub place, but this place looks huge for a nightclub. Nightclubs are usually like underground. This one looked like a Home Depot, just huge. And they even had huge lights, like really flashy lights. So it's kind of weird that that's an underground so-called swingers part. But apparently on Thursdays is over 25-year-old night, and it's when you can like hook up with someone. Who knows? That's what the word of the talk of the town was. They would also call it a grab a granny night, which if you think 25-year-old back in the 1960s is a grandma, I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below, Scotland, what that means, grab a granny night. I would really want to know. Yeah. But apparently people get freaky deaky in those nights. So sadly, you know, Patricia Docker, she didn't tell her parents where she was going to be. And when they found her body, and then when they did research and everything like that, it took them 3 weeks to figure out that she went to Barrow. I'll say Barrow. To the CD club, okay? Which is really horrible because she should have told someone. I mean, again, I don't want to like blame her because it's really awful. Because I know, I mean, let me know in the comments below when you guys were kind of naughty and you said you were going to your friend's house, but you ended up spending the night at another friend's house, or yeah, something like that. So it was like that kind of thing. But sadly, it took them 3 weeks to figure out where she was. But by then, memories were lost. People were drunk and they didn't have any information. But when she was found, it was brutal. She was just naked and thrown like she was just a piece of trash with one shoe on her foot and a pad right by her body. Like a used pad. I know, it's horrible. It's horrible. Right by her body. And the pictures that I saw, I pray they are reenactments. I do. What I noticed was her eyes were open. What I've noticed about all 4 of the women, when they died, their eyes were open, which that tells me they fought. Some fought more than others, but there was definitely some strong-willed women that their lives were lost just because they wanted a night on the town, you know? So like I said, there was no credible witnesses for Patricia, and it was really awful. 18 months later, we're going back now. August, well, in the beginning I kind of went forward, but this is the second woman we're going to be talking about. August 16th, 1969, we're talking about 32-year-old Jemima. I hope I'm saying that right. Jemima McDonald. She was dolled up and ready to go dancing. She was actually an unmarried mother of 3. So she worked extremely hard. And her sister lived just a short distance by. And thank goodness, because her sister also helped with babysitting. Now, Jemima has been to this place before. And she loves to dance and have a good time. So she was really looking forward to this night, to Saturday night. Yeah, she just wanted to have some fun. Come on, it's Saturday night. You're a mother of 3. You work your butt off. Go and have a good time, you know? So now, when Jemima did not come home that when she was supposed to, her sister Margaret didn't automatically worry because Jemima did have kind of a reputation to be out late and just have a good time, but she always showed up. This time, though, no. She did not show up. And she was, it's sad. So the sister Margaret is very worried, okay, about Jemima. And she overhears a rumor in her town that these kids were like, first of all, I don't even know how they were like chill about this, which makes it even more terrifying. But there was a rumor that the children saw a body inside an abandoned building down the road. Now, when Margaret heard that, she was just like, okay, that's really weird. She must have had like a huge pit in her stomach. Like, okay, my sister's not home yet. There's a body down the street. You know what? It's probably nothing. It's probably kids just being kids. Well, Margaret waited and could not even sleep. So at Monday around 7 a.m., she found her sister. She found Jemima August 18th, 1969. She found her in that abandoned building down the road. Down the block, I believe. Now, her sister, I can't imagine, you guys. I just can't. Like, you want to find your sister. You're so worried. But to find your sister in that kind of state, it's unreal. I mean, I just cannot, the trauma, you guys. Awful. Jemima was found in that building, and she was beaten, and she was raped, and she was murdered. She was actually strangled by her pantyhose. Her clothing was in all disarray, but she still had some clothing on. Her handbag was taken, and her sanitary pad actually was right beside her body. So yeah, second woman, menstruating, found horribly assaulted, and left. Again, just out in the open in an abandoned building, and just guarded like a piece of trash. Her death, man, the city couldn't even, they were so scared. They couldn't even it was awful. So with her death that happened, her 3 children became orphaned. And police really wanted to find the killer because this is unheard of, okay? This doesn't happen. All right? Especially this brutal. Because now, according to, okay, some podcasters will say how the sexual assault was done, others will not. Now, it's going to get brutal, okay? Now, when they say that she was sexually assaulted anally. I know, it's rough. It's rough. And when she was beaten in the face, it was with fists. It wasn't with any weapons or objects. And the first woman, Patricia, she was beaten too with a fist and no weapons. And they cannot tell if she was assaulted, yes or no. But there definitely was some type of, because she was there naked. So the police automatically felt like this was definitely a sexually charged motive crime. Yeah, it's 1960s. Information can get blurry. I'm aware of that. But please know that these women really suffered, and by the way it looks like it and what I've read, they did fight. They did. And I'm going to talk about the third girl that it just felt like nightmare fuel horror movie. This one is, it's like it's like he's escalating. Like he's doing what he's doing, but he's getting way more violent. I'll get to that creep in a minute. But now, since the death of um, Jemima, police they had some kind of idea. Yeah, they had an idea, and they really wanted to find this killer. So what they did, they wanted more information as well too, because they wanted witnesses to actually talk to them. But the fact is, in Barrowland, there are married and unmarried people who are having illicit affairs. So police was saying, listen, if it's a domestic thing, don't worry, you can tell us tips anonymously. Yes, that's how bad the police wanted information. They're like, listen, we know you're having an affair, we heard this, we heard that, but we do not care. We want to find a killer here, which is, commendable. Thank you. And they actually got one of the lady officers to dress in the clothes that Gemina wore the night before. So when she went undercover in Barrowland, they were people who were there, because some people were there every day, some people were there, different times, but two people, it jogged their memory for some reason. When they saw the lady officer walk around in Gemina's clothes, they were like, yeah, she was talking to somebody. I remember now. Yeah, it was, they had a description of who she left with. And it was they said he was like 6 foot. He was quite tall, maybe 6'2", and he was a handsome man. And he was nicely dressed, like a suit and tie, just very nicely dressed. And that's kind of unheard of around there, because it's like more of a casual club, And he also seemed, they left around together around midnight, but they said he was very polite. He was, just seemed like a very friendly guy. But again, him being dressed up was very unusual, especially for the Barrowland. Now, when they talked about it, there was a sketch. There was a composite sketch that was done of the stranger, okay? And it was one of the first sketches to appear on television in Scotland. So they really wanted to catch this guy. I want to commend the Scotland Yard police, okay? Hopefully I'm right about that. It's Scotland, that's Scotland Yard, right? Right? Okay. If I'm wrong, I am so sorry. But I want to commend the police for these really great ideas, like dress up like the woman who lost her life, like wear that, because she was in a city where there were many people around. It has to jog their memory. And that's really, really innovative, smart thinking. And that, like I said, made a sketch. So the sketch is this. He is like 6 foot. He has like reddish brown hair, and he's pale, and he is slim, slender. Now, there is a third woman, and it is, like I said, nightmare fuel. Of course, it happens on Halloween. October 31st, 1969, Helen Catieqt was found. It's either Catieqt or Catieqt, but I'll say Catieqt. But Helen was actually married, a mother of 2, and her handbag contents this time, they were like scattered. So the police made a conclusion as the reason they were scattered was that she was dragged. I know. And what's heartbreaking is she was really close to her flat. I know. She was really close to the garden that was by her flat. So she almost made it home, but she didn't quite get there. Now, the police said she fought real hard, that there was actually grass stains on her skin and grass stains on her on her clothes, because she's just kicking and trying to get away. She definitely put up a fight. This time her sanitary pad was placed under her arm. She was strangled with her pantyhose. She was beaten horribly in the face. Again, with no weapons. Looks like fists just kept beating her. And she was stripped of her clothes. And the callous bastard, I guess he was so mad that she was really trying to fight for her life. He bit her. Now on two documents, it says, on one document, it says that he bit her on the wrist. There's another document that said he bit her in the thigh. I know. So there's two different stories here. But the fact is, he did bite her. And he did not bite the other women, but he bit her. And you're thinking, well, forensics. Why can't they imprint it? Did they save it? The way he bit her in a way where it wasn't one. It was like several bites on top of one another, which you could definitely not get an imprint of that. Because the way when you bite someone, if it's one bite, you can get an impression. But if you're biting and biting around the area, you're definitely going to mess up the imprint of the bite. So dental records could never match the bite, to the records. It's horrible. So Helen was the younger sister of Jeannie, and Jeannie was one of the last people to see her alive. That is because they went to the Barrowland together, sisters. Like, you did it right. You went with your sister. You went with someone you care about. And Jeannie remembered very, very well what the guy looked like who left with her sister. So they went to Barrowland, okay? And they're having a good time. They're drinking, they're laughing, and one guy approached, Jeannie, and I think it's really mean that someone said he was an unattractive guy, but he was a nice guy, very, and, Helen was looking at her sister just dancing with this guy, and, Jeannie's having a good time. But then someone bumps into Helen while she's watching her sister dancing. And it is what police now describe as Bible John. So, he bumps into her. They start talking and chatting. Helen introduced Jeannie to John. So it's like a foursome. They're hanging out. They're dancing. They're having a good time. And, he's very, he's dressed up. He looks nice. He's dressed up pretty sharp. They said that he was very polite. He was kind. And he was kind of funny. He had some kind of like a little tooth, something weird with his teeth. They said not enough to make him like ugly, like I don't know, I don't want to say that U word because beauty is literally in the eye of the beholder. I feel everyone is beautiful. But to describe him, his tooth was kind of like grown on top of one another. Maybe like a snaggle tooth. I'm not sure. But definitely there were some dental things going on. So Jeannie remembered that. But she also remembered his red hair and, how he was very fun. And she didn't get any weird vibes until they saw his anger. Towards the end of the night, John went to get cigarettes from a cigarette machine. Well, the cigarette machine accidentally ate his money and did not give him cigarettes. And they said that he did a fuss. He ended up getting his money back. It's a very low amount of money, apparently. They were like, it was a really low amount of money, and he was really mad, like really pissed. His eyes went all black. They were like, whoa, who is this guy that we've been hanging out with? And he just like switched. Yeah. But of course, it's late at night. People think maybe he had too much alcohol. The night's over, So they all get in a cab together. It is Helen, it's Jeannie, and it's Bible John. But he introduced himself as John. Edmondson, Simpleton, something like that. But she remembers the name John. So they're talking, and then all of a sudden, John starts talking about like Bible verses and stuff. Yeah, he was talking about like adultery, and one podcaster said that he was doing Bible verses, but they were like in a very messed up perspective kind of way. Like he thought it meant something else than what it meant, kind of thing. And then another podcaster I heard said he didn't really do quotes or anything. He just talked about, how God punishes adulterers and all that. And then when John saw that the women were uncomfortable, they were talking about it, he immediately just talked about golf. So he shut that conversation down. Yeah, that's weird. That's very, very weird. So Jeannie was let out first, even though Jeannie lived the farthest away, according to the taxi ride. But Jeannie could tell that Helen was really feeling John. Like she's like, you know what? I don't want to pretty much be a block. If you're feeling him, yeah. And that's just like a hard thing to talk about because like I know the sister blames herself. I know that she blamed herself for her sister's death, and it's not. He's a fucking psycho. How are you supposed to know? So many other people are going to Barrowland, sounds like it, and have a freaky deaky time, but of course there ends up being some kind of psycho killer. Yeah, I know when you hear psycho killer you think of Talking Heads. I'm aware. If you're not, sorry. So Helen is gone, and she fought, and she too was also sexually assaulted. Like I say, anally, just vicious, and he just like humiliated her with her body, and just like it's just so sad because she fought so hard. Like damn, they couldn't even believe it. They thought she would be. I mean, it was just sad. So when I think about that, these women are, what they have in similarities is that they are petite, they are mothers, they have brown hair. So I'm guessing they're pretty short, And this killer, John, is going to be, if he's like 6'1" or 6'2", that's a tall dude. That's like a big dude, Yeah, it's it knocked the town off its foot. I mean, it off its feet. It was unreal. The police officers actually interviewed 240 tailors. Yeah, tailors make clothes because people said how nicely he dressed. They're like, well, we're gonna go visit every tailor in this town and figure out who the heck this guy is. So they brought the composite sketch, nothing. They didn't get anything. Then they went to 453 barbers because he had a nice haircut, or, it's not a long hair. If he doesn't have long hair, that means he has to get a cut somewhere. And again, they bring the composite sketch to the barbers, nothing. Zip. I know, it's horrible. Cannot find this bastard. More than 5,000 residents were actually interviewed and then let go. And out of nowhere, the killing stopped. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sending positive energy to these women, and their families, it's absolutely terrible. And also back then, they really didn't go to different avenues because they thought, oh, well, they put themselves in that position, or they're cheating on their husband, and, they deserve to have something horrible. Like, that is awful. But this is the 1960s. Like, you couldn't even be, a swinger or openly gay, or any type of like different kind of lifestyle that people are not used to. So these women, They died in horrible ways. And just because they wanted to have a good time, they wanted to escape their hard life, maybe hard relationships, who knows. But the fact is that this case is not solved is terrifying. Yeah, horrible. Okay, so this is where we're going to go in speculation talk. This is theories, okay? Since this case is unsolved, now there are different theories. Now, one theory is that there were 3 different killers because even though it was in Glasgow, Scotland, these cities were pretty far away from one another. So they think it was 3 different killers because when the contents and stuff for the first killing, when the purse was stolen and the contents in the purse and the watch, it was not eyesight of where, okay, sorry, let me start again. So the purse was discarded. So Patricia's purse was discarded in the river. And police believe that the person who killed Patricia knew a lot about the city, knew where like the hidden river was, or because it wasn't in eyesight where she was. They think all 3 women were killed somewhere else and then placed somewhere after they were dead because of all the lack of evidence and everything like that. Who knows? So again, one of the theories is 3 different killers because of the distance between the 3 people. Another one is that it may have been a bouncer or someone of authority, a police officer. Because women in Scotland could not believe that they could not find a killer. They felt that there were other people covering for the killer. Like the killer may have been some weird religious fanatic. And him bringing up the Bible, like either Bible verses or talked about God. That's kind of why they called him Bible John, because when he was talking with these women in the club, sorry, my mic is acting up. Sorry, Mike. Okay. When he was talking with these women in the club, he would talk about God and Bible verses. Like, what? That's a pretty intense conversation. And me, Katie, I don't like to talk about religion. I don't like to talk about politics. I just don't. That's just, yeah. You can judge me if you want, that's fine. The only thing I will say is my religion is love, and I love everybody. And there's no way that whoever made us hates his creations. That's all I'm going to say. So on to Bible John. So they call him Bible John because, like I said, you're at the club, you're partying, you're dancing, you're getting freaky, messing around with these women, because apparently he was some kind of handsome guy. So he was doing the Bible verses for conversation apparently, and then when things got weird, the women left. Now, as I was researching and looking on YouTube, you find some really cool podcasting on YouTube. I was reading comments because that's what I do. I read comments of other podcasters, just curious, because I'm always curious about, what you may find there. One lady on there said that her grandmother was a survivor of Bible John. She was actually in Barrowland having a good time, and she just had like a freaky vibe, or it just didn't mesh right, and she's like, I'm going home with friends. And weeks later, when the composite came out, she could have sworn that's who tried to pick her up that night, but she did not. So yeah, those things are very interesting. You'd be surprised what other people have experienced during this Bible John, Jack the Ripper horrible events. Okay, so that was the second theory. The third theory is this. Okay, now it was some kind of religious fanatic that, not only that, but I don't know, I feel like it's Carrie vibes. Remember that movie Carrie? It's been redone, like a couple times, then a sequel which I kind of like the corny sequel. I think it's like Carrie 2, The Rage or something. It came out like in the 90s. I do like that one. It's where I first found out about garbage. Yeah, love garbage. You know, Shirley Manson. Oh, she's fire. Anyway, so where was I getting it? Okay, Carrie. Yeah, so Carrie in the movie with the Sissy Spacek movie, there is a scene where, you know, Sissy gets her period. You know, she's menstruating, and her mother is yelling at her and saying how unclean she is and she's filthy and all that. And I'm thinking this John dude, which probably is not even his real name, he is like such a religious fanatic that he thinks periods are unclean. They're you know, you're like the worst. I don't know. I just, that doesn't make any sense because that's something that women cannot help. Do you think we love having our period? No, I wish it was just one day where we're like, oh, okay, we're not pregnant this month. Thank you. No, it lasts a week with pain, hormonal changes, mood swings, weird cravings. Okay, sorry. All right, so that was one of the things, one of the theories, that it was just some religious fanatic that just hates women on their periods. Just a total woman hater. Okay. Another theory. Another theory, you guys, is that he was like this Casanova guy at Barrowland, screwing all these women, just, you know, giving them a good time in the bathroom or hotels, whatever. And then, because it was such a large gap, 18 months until his second, you know, second woman that he brutally killed, 18 months. That's a long time. So people think that he was like having all these affairs and having sex with all these women, and the women who had their periods, he just felt they were unclean and nasty, and it just like threw him in a rage for some reason. I just don't understand that. But random here, okay? I was a pure romance consultant because I love women empowerment and I love making couples feel good and love themselves and it's healthy and all that. So if you're with your partner and it's consensual, sex during your period is the best. So I don't understand why this guy was so damn angry. They just had to beat him in the face and just, God, they suffered so much. It just pisses me off. Like, makes me so mad. And then that people said that, oh, well, they were in that part of town. They, like, what? Who makes you God? Like, these women were mothers. They were nurses. They had dreams and goals, and they just wanted to have a fun Saturday or Thursday night. Sorry about that. So, okay, one more now. In 1996, this guy, Peter Tobin was Roman Catholic. He actually used over 500 fake names. He moved out of Glasgow in 1969. That's why they think investigators think that's why the killing stopped, because the bastard moved. He also used weapons and he concealed the bodies. So when I was dropping you there, like those those bullet points, is this guy Peter Tobin, who before he was murdered in prison, oh yeah, he's one of freaking Scotland's infamous serial killers. And his end was like, I think it was 2015. It was in the 2000s, but he was like 77 years old, and an inmate just like sliced his throat with a razor blade and he bled out and died. Yeah, but he killed 3 women that were found, but he claimed he killed over 40 women. Yeah. Now, I'm talking about this Peter Tobin guy. They think that he is Bible John. Me, not so much. There is similarities, there really is, but Peter Tobin really does look close to the sketch. Like, he's older now. And that is weird. And he got his teeth fixed. But you guys, technology, DNA does not lie. When they got the DNA from one of the women and matched it to Peter Tobin, it was not a match. Now, the argument for there is that it was 40 years later. There may have been something wrong with this sample because it was 40 years later. But then when they went to check the other samples of Bible John that they took from the scene, gone. The evidence was gone. I know. Sucks. Sucks. Yeah. But this Peter Tobin guy, I mean, I might do an episode on him. I don't want to. He's just human garbage. But he's a horrible serial killer. And like I said, he was accused and, prosecuted for 3 deaths. But he's known to kill way more. And he killed him in a horrible way. He was a church handyman. Yeah. He was a church handyman, but he concealed the bodies. Now, Bible John did not conceal the bodies. In fact, it felt like a Black Dahlia kind of way. The way he just shamed the women is put them out there naked, and these women fought, and he didn't even care. He didn't care that these women were mothers and hard workers. He just hated women. And I guess when they were on their periods, man, that was it. They had to die. It's ridiculous. And you're probably wondering, okay, Katie, but what about Jeannie? Jeannie was the last one to see Helen. What did Helen, she already has guilt enough. So when she found out Peter Tobin, I guess fake confessed or something like that, or the police thought he did it, Jeannie swears up and down that Peter Tobin was not the one, that they were in the taxi, that Peter Tobin was not Bible John. So I'm kind of going with Jeannie here. I'm trying to go with that. She swears that it's not. She goes, there's no way. There's no way. Bible John was 6 foot. Peter Tobin was 5'6". Even if you're a short, petite woman, 5'6" male, you can get out of that. Okay? Unless he's 700 pounds. I'm just saying. But the fact is that Bible John lured these women and hurt them in horrible ways, and then placed their bodies in a horrific, humiliating display where their family will be haunted for so long, even their children. It's just disgusting and sad. So, what do you guys think this Bible John was? What do you guys think? Don't worry, it wasn't like Black Dahlia, where he did the blood or whatever. The investigators could not believe the violence to the face. A fist could do that to the face, especially of a woman. And then how they were just raped so horribly. I don't know if they were raped in the front way, but it was definitely the back door, and it's just horrible, and I can't imagine. But Bible John, I hope you're rotten in hell, you bastard. Sorry, I do. Just don't understand what makes you God. But yeah, today this case is unsolved, so please let me know what you think down in the comments below. Again, I send positive energy to the loved ones that have been affected by this case. I really, really appreciate you listening or watching. It means the world to me. Please know that you are loved and cherished. This is a really rough one to wrap my head around, especially back in the 60s, where swinging 60s and Glasgow, Scotland. I love Scottish actors. Let me know. Did you guys hear about this case, Bible John case? Let me know down in the comments below. But as always, I am Katie Brandon, and I appreciate you. Please know that you are loved and cherished. And yeah, it's a tea time, so I've had my tea for a while. Forgive me. If you can't see, I am using my SB's Lakeside Love Shack red mug. If you are in Richmond, Virginia, definitely check out SB. That's Sarah Beth's Lakeside Love Shack. It is a work of art with breakfast and brunch foods. It's incredible. It's worth it. Check them out. All right, so let me see what I made. Oh yeah, after being on a cruise with over 1,000 people, I'm drinking my green tea with honey. All right, well, until next time, You are doing better than you think. I'll see you later. Bye.